That'd be really cool. Okay, so that moves us nicely on to our last topic of the evening. So if you do have any questions for the panel, do get them in the chat and we will try our best to answer them. So the last topic that we wanted to, or I wanted to talk about is there a second-hand market for Evercade products? And I mentioned earlier that I've noticed some of the cartridges, Techno's cartridge 10, is sold out everywhere. I couldn't find a copy of it anywhere apart from on eBay, and I think I saw it sold for £39. But then equally, I've seen people try and sell limited edition purple handheld, and that it was selling for less than what they purchased it for. So I'm going to put it out. I'll start with you, Blunners, and just put it out to you. Do you think Evercade products are going to go up in value, or do you think they're going to stay as they are, or do you think over time that everyone who is a fan of Evercade will have Evercade stuff, so there's not going to be that market for it?
Well, I think it depends because recently, that's how I've purchased my OG Evercade, and that's how I've purchased recently Indie Heroes was through his second hand market. I didn't get it as the day one. I picked one. As I said, I picked my Evercade up for £35, which is an absolute bargain, I think. But I do think the ones you were saying was that we said the carts that aren't being printed there might go up in value. But I think it'll be mainly for new people that are coming in and wanting to have these full collections that go across. That's what could bump it up in the future. What they called legacy carts. Was that what we were called last time? I think. Yeah, and I think they're the ones that they could be like your gold ticket ones, really. But yeah, I do think there is a market for it, and because there's a market for anything, but it depends. It depends on like Top and Hat was saying earlier about your cost, your individual cost of these games, and you're picking them up for under £20. That's crazy. So yeah, I do think it just depends. I think it depends on the carts, but there is definitely a market out there for them.
Yeah, these legacy, it's clever, isn't it? Because if you were clever enough to hoard a few of those legacy ones, because I think Pico 1 I couldn't find anywhere either. That's another one that's gone legacy very quickly, and now it's not available anywhere. So that again could start to creep up on eBay. But I think things that are quite common that or aren't legacy, like in television 1, for example, I can't see that being worth £39 in the future. But yeah, I'll pass over to you, Sir Top and Hat. Do you think that Evercade products are going to start going up in value with these legacy cartridges, especially?
I think it's too early to tell. I think it's a very niche market. I mean, you just touched then on in television, perhaps not being a rarer cart later on, but if it didn't sell well, that will give fewer in the area, and therefore it might actually surprise us and become one of the ones that's more expensive. Again, you mentioned Pico Interactive. I mean, unfortunately, there was nothing they could do about that. Pico actually sold off several of their licenses, and including those were like Draken, etc. So they no longer own them. So yeah, in that case, they had to axe it. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them do a bit like Nintendo used to do. Do you remember their select games? And I think they could do another rerun of some of these by relicensing them, like the Technos ones. And perhaps they could launch them out a little bit cheaper, perhaps £15 or something like that, or £10, and resell them. And I think there could be a market for that because nobody does budget games anymore. Used to see them with the PlayStation and the GameCube and all sorts, where they used to do these sort of select ones that were a little bit cheaper after they sort of done a ton of Super Mario Sunshine. It suddenly went on to this like slightly cheaper label. And I think there's a real market there for Evercade if they look for it. And, the Oliver twins aren't difficult to reach and things like that. And they could perhaps, get some of these re-signed for that. And I think it would bring them in a small, tidy little income there to keep investing back into the company. So, yeah. Definitely something they should look into.
So you touched on the Oliver twins there. Bearing in mind that was for charity, that cartridge. Do you know why the license was so short-lived on that? Was there any reason why that wasn't longer term?
I'm not sure. I might have known at the time. I can't think of anything offhand now. No, I'm not quite sure, but I know the deal was for a couple of years, and that was it. So it doesn't mean that Evercade haven't gone back and they haven't signed a second collection. But yeah, unfortunately, for some reason, that's not renewed. But yeah, if I was them and I was around the table, I would definitely make sure that I tried to get that, because I would have thought it's one, if not their biggest selling cartridge, it's certainly up in the top 3. So yeah, I would definitely try and get that re-signed.
So what would you say were the top 3 then? Before we move on to TriangleFace's thoughts on the second-hand market of Evercade, I'm just really interested to know what are the top 3 sellers in your opinion?
Well, the top 3 have to be the 3 that came with the original cartridge. Original unit, I would imagine. Interplay, of course, and Atari and Namco, because everybody bought the original. So yeah, that would definitely be in the top 3. But outside of that, yes, definitely Oliver Twins and Renovation Collection. Things like that. That's excluding obviously any arcade ones that came with the Versus and things like that, which would obviously again sell thousands in itself.
Yeah, of course. Okay, that's interesting. That Oliver Twins is, because I've not got much nostalgia for Dizzy or Oliver Twins games, but obviously there is a huge market for it, and the fact you're saying that it's in the top 3, it's kind of took me back a little bit, because I knew.
I actually knew a whole demographic of people that purchased it that never actually owned an Evercade. But because they love Dizzy, they bought the cartridge. So that in itself, I know for a fact it sold a couple of thousand to people that don't actually have an Evercade. So
Okay, interesting. Okay, and TriangleFace, your thoughts on the second-hand market of Evercade products?
Yeah, I think there'll be a small market for it, but I think it'll be a while until we see second-hand carts going for more than they originally sold for. I think at the moment this is just going to mostly be people that are done with a cart that isn't their favourite and they're getting rid of it, and someone's going to buy it cheaper second-hand. So I think it's going to be like that for quite a while. I don't think it's going to be it's going to be quite a while until we see the scarcity that is going to push the price up. So I don't think the price is going to go up. And part of the Evercade as well is the price point, isn't it? It's a really affordable way of getting these games, and also it's still fairly niche. So the only people that are going to look to buy the cartridge are going to be Evercade fans who have an Evercade, and chances are they're buying the cartridges when they come out. So will there be that many people actually buying them? It's just going to be people that maybe are late adopters or miss some. They're going to go back. Yeah, I think, like Blunners said, there's a market for everything. So that we will see them, but I don't think we're going to see like really high-priced ones, at least not for a long time. Okay,
and what would you put your money on being the most expensive cartridge in, say, 5 years' time?
It's got to be one that didn't do so well. I think it's going to be one of the ones that people haven't gone for. Like you mentioned, like maybe one of the Intellivision, like Intellivision 2 or something like that. If not many people have got it, then like there's going to be more people looking to buy the ones they missed. And I think a lot of the really popular carts people are going to buy and they're going to keep. Like I don't think they're really good selling carts people are going to buy and then sell. So it's probably going to be the less popular carts that will become obscure and people have to find.
Yeah, I'm really going to have to pick up Intellivision 2 because I'm starting to get a bit twitchy now because I've refused to pick it up, and I've got my collection behind me here, and I haven't got IRIM because I'm waiting to get an EXP eventually.
Yeah,
and I haven't got Intellivision 2 because I just refuse to part with £18 for it. So I constantly looking on eBay for someone selling, even if it's a broken one, I'll buy it because it will just go in a collection, and I'm never going to play it anyway.
I'm kind of glad I didn't go for like every cart because I'd be stuck like, oh, you have to buy everything then if you're going for it. I've only gone for the ones that appeal to me that I want to get. But the only one that I keep on thinking, oh, did I miss a trick here, is the Oliver Twins one because I didn't get the Oliver Twins cart. And lots of people say it's one of their favourite carts. Oh, am I missing out by not having it? So that's one that I might consider getting. But again, that's one of the ones that is going to be hard to get hold of.
You pick it up now on Fun Stock. Yeah. It is still on there. I did check before we come on air. But yeah, definitely pick it up now because, as the Top and Hat says, that's one that's going to be it's one of the most popular sellers. But if that goes out of circulation, then you're going to struggle to get one. So I would try and pick it up if you can.
Well, I think funny. I did get the Commodore 64 cart because I had a Amazon voucher and I could actually get the Commodore 64 Mini for cheaper than the Commodore 64 cart because it was on offer as well. It's discounted. So I got myself a Commodore 64 Mini, but I really don't enjoy it. I was playing anything. It's not my era of gaming. I played it. It's like, yeah, a lot of these games are really bad. But I think it'd be one of the ones that's fun to play with mates when you've got friends over, and then you could just like have a go on all these like old 8-bit games. But yeah, I thought it was funny that the Commodore 64 collection cart inspired me to get the Commodore 64 Mini, but I kind of regretted it once I plugged it in.
Okay. So in my opinion, the original handheld, unless you've got the black one, that's going up in price all the time, because they only made 3,000, didn't they? So there's definitely a market for those, and because that was the very first Evercade product, well, that and the white one, but the black one, there's so few of them, I can see that being worth quite a bit in the future. In terms of the other, possibly the black EXP with the ones with the seal of approval on the box, because they're going to be so different. So again, I think there's going to be a market because the collectors, and I know you're certainly one of them. So talking about with 5 original Evercades to update today, is that something that you would want? Would you want both of those EXP limited edition boxes, or would you just be happy with the one?
Yeah. I mean, it might be something I'll collect. So I've got both. Yeah, it's nice to have the different variations, like the starter packs and the premium packs and things like that. So yeah, I definitely add it to the collection.
Okay, that is interesting. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions here. Andy Davidson, always good to see him here, said about those Dizzy games, but the Spectrum versions weren't the games on the Evercade made to sell the Aladdin deck enhancer. Was that a Nintendo NES thing?
Yeah,
So it's
the Aladdin deck enhancer was just a way of them getting around basically having it licensed by Nintendo to put them on the NES.
Okay.
Okay.
And do you still feel those Dizzy games are as good as the Spectrum? Because a lot of people have nostalgia for the Spectrum rather than the NES versions of those games. So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Everybody's got their favorite versions of things. I mean, when I spoke to the Oliver twins, they told me that their favorite versions are ones like the NES, because obviously the scrolling's smoother and things like that. So to them, they consider those more definitive. Whereas to somebody like myself, who had Magic Land Dizzy and Treasure Island Dizzy and things for the Commodore 64, I'm very much in love with the chiptune music. And yeah, obviously I'd like to see those versions, and yeah, just like Andy, he loves his Spectrum versions, and yeah, I don't see, everybody's got their favorite versions.
Yeah, 100%. Because I could sit here and say my favorite version of FIFA is on PlayStation 1, and then you could sit there and say, no, the best version was on Nintendo 64 or something like that. So everyone's going to have different opinions on that, and everyone's going to have different nostalgia because they would have played a game on a different system growing up, and that's why gaming is so great, because everyone's got different memories and different views.
Yeah.
And it's nice just to talk to people who've got and just share their memories. So and that's what Evercade does. I think it brings everyone into a nice community to talk about these memories. And we've got